Loyalty is number one. We will never break that, ever.
The reason that we're doing this podcast is not just to give value, but also to learn from the people who have figured it out.
Welcome to Small Strides, Big Business, the podcast for insurance agents who want to grow their business in a way that feels smart, sustainable, and authentic. On this podcast, we have honest conversations about better sales interactions, client service, automation, mindset, marketing, referrals, practical things that move your business forward in real life. Whether you're brand new or years into the game, so grab a notebook and let's dive into today's conversation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Small Strides, Big Business podcast. I'm Krystal Small. We've got Tiffany Peak, and today we're really excited to introduce you to Charley Tinsley. Charley is the managing partner for TIG Thomas Insurance Group out of Missouri. Thank you so much, Charley, for joining us. Just to get started, do you mind sharing a little bit about you?
I decided to leave a family farming operation in Southeast Missouri and go into the insurance business. I started my career as a captive agent with Missouri Farm Bureau in a small town, Charleston, Missouri. Did that for a little over 9 years. When I left Farm Bureau, we had the largest agency. I bought a very small, shrinking Medicare agency in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. So they were only selling Medicare supplements primarily in 2 counties in the state of Missouri. So we took the company, and then in 2013, we decided to go national, and we moved into around 16 states that first year. And then eventually we ended up in all 50 states in DC. And we work with all the national brands and with a lot of the regional brands, a lot of the blues, some of the smaller companies like Devoted, which is not so small anymore, and that's been our focus, is to be able to offer people options. So we built a company around education and service. I would say 99.9% of our clients now that we write every day are referred in. And so what little bit of advertising we do, most people would probably laugh at. We're in 2 local small town newspapers on the obituary page.
So, Charley, we spoke a lot prior to this, and one of the things that struck me, and I know Krystal too, so I'd love to spend some time about the topic of loyalty and how that impacts your business and your brand.
So one of the things that makes us unique is nationally, we work with over 1,000 financial advisors, property and casualty insurance agents, employer benefits agents. I'd say the bulk of them are actually Medicare agents that don't have a national footprint. They might write in 1 state. They might write in 47 states. They refer business to us in the states they're not in. We work with HR directors, and now we work with multiple unions around the country. So loyalty is very important. It is the first building block of doing this. If you're not going to be loyal to the people referring business to you, don't do it. So loyalty has to be number 1. Education's number 2. If you're not going to educate their clients, and then service is number 3 and service their clients, again, don't do it. If you want to be an agency that takes referrals and you build a company around loyalty, education, and service, do that. But it is a very fine line. And so with us, everything is loyalty. I had a shelter agent years ago refer a client to me for Medicare. We wrote this person's Medicare, and they called me up and said, we need a life insurance policy. And our estate attorney says we need to buy a pretty large policy. And they kind of tell me what they needed. In our CRM, when I pull a client up on the very main page, it says where they came from. Were they referred by a client? Did they find us? And it said insurance agent referral, said who the agent was, shelter insurance. So I talked to him for a little bit and said, yes, I agree. You need more life insurance. We'd love to do this. However, do you know who would be really good at this? Shelter insurance. And they pause for a minute and they go, my gosh, that's who writes our farm insurance. Yeah, they referred you to me. And so that agent called me up a couple weeks later and said, I don't know why you didn't write this. And I said, because this is your client. And she said, no, it's technically our client now. And I said, no, this is technically your client for everything but Medicare. It was a bad business decision from that aspect, but it's who we are. Loyalty is number 1. We will never break that, ever.
Great, Charley, because, I mean, if you think about that from a working relationship, one, there's not too many people who would do that. I mean, we live in a world that, I mean, especially in sales, that's a hard thing to do. right? Because we're all out working.
Mhm.
But you have built a system to where not only do you have other agents referring you business, but now you're also in a position to where it's a cross referral. They're
Yeah,
not just sending you business, but they have the trust knowing that when opportunities arise, you're gonna send it back. You're
it
paying it
is.
back and forth, and so that's such a great working relationship. It would make me as an agent wanna continue to send business to you knowing that you're not gonna poach my business. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
Poach
for sure. And that's poached. Yeah.
my business?
But there's no question. One of the first things a new financial advisor wants to talk to me about is, hey, I saw on your website you all do annuities, life insurance, long-term care. We need to discuss that. I work with a firm in California and I had to do an interview in front of their entire board and
Mhm.
they hammered me on this. They refer business to me every year now. We don't steal the business you want when you refer us the business we want. Super important. I had another Medicare agent I worked with referred him a referral for Wyoming. Lady called me. She was referred to me and said, I need coverage to start Monday morning. It was Friday at 4 o'clock. There was no way I could get appointed in Wyoming, get my contract set up and get her Medicare supplement written. So I thought, no problem. I have got somebody that can take care of this. She called me back and she said, I finally got a Medicare policy out of this guy, but I want you to know that I almost hung up on him and told him that I was getting ready to hang up on him. He asked me no less than 10 times how I found you, who referred me to you. That was the last referral I sent out. This agent wanted to know where my referral source was. How did you in Wyoming find an agent in Southeast Missouri? But that is the one that really stands out for me. And then the next thing I know, I see one of their employees at a Medicare meeting and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to do Medicare now. You're not getting any more P&C referrals from me. That's for sure." So loyalty has to be it just has to be number one.
Well, there's so much business out there, right? So if you can kind of stay in your lane, obviously, we're the reason that we're doing this podcast is not just to give value, but also to learn from the people who have figured it out, right? So it's just so refreshing to talk to you and be like, okay, it can be done the right way, and so that's just. I know that Tiffany had this question. I'm going to steal this question a little bit from you, Tiffany, but we were just talking about how you went from really being the CEO of one to the CEO of many. And just that jump from a tiny little possibly knocking on doors kind of insurance agent to just growing your business to such a massive scale. Could you pinpoint an idea or a thought process that shifted for you when you went from even that mindset of working, on your own almost to growing this big business with that's just massive today?
Yeah. So I was still farming. Really good friend of mine took me to lunch, and he is one of the owners of a commodities company. And he said, "You're wasting your time farming." He goes, "I know you enjoy it, but he said, you should be working with people. You need to be in sales. It can be for me, it can be for somebody else, but you need to be in sales." And I thought, well, that's interesting. The very next day, another really good friend of mine called and said, my wife is resigning as the Farm Bureau insurance agent in town. She's going to be a stay-at-home mom and help me on the farm, and we think you should apply for this job. I thought, okay, this is a sign. And
Mhm.
so applied, got the job, kind of ran from there. And then at Farm Bureau, I'm not ever going to knock them. It was a great place to learn. Um, they provided a great opportunity for me and my family, but they had a ceiling and I had hit that ceiling. They did not want me selling out of the state. In fact, they wouldn't allow it. They really didn't want me selling out of my county, and they wouldn't let me hire sub agents. And so I'd kind of hit a wall, and I knew there was nowhere else to go, and I was getting bored, and I knew there was nowhere else to grow. And so I thought, okay, we've got to do something different. And I started looking, and I had a large property and casualty agency, but I had the largest health agency in the company, and this place just kind of, again, it just worked out. It fell into my lap. When I met with the owner the first time, after I'd been told she wanted to sell the business, she goes, "No, I don't want to sell the business." But I visited with her for a couple hours, and she goes, "Thanks for coming by." And I was like, "Yeah, great." And I was like, "All right, well, no, that was a dead end." I'm looking in other states, looking at different areas, and she calls me and she goes, "Hey, I'm ready to sell. I want you to come back up and meet with me. She said, my clients are my friends. They are people I go to church with. They are people I go to dinner with. This is important that I transition them to the right person. And so again, I just thought this is it.
Yeah.
I mean, here's an owner that's not worried about the money. I mean, don't get me wrong, the money came, but it was loyalty, and it was loyalty to her clients.
I love that.
And I said, okay, here we go. Like, here's somebody that understands loyalty. It's to her clients, but she understands loyalty, and she is very passionate about what she does. And so I knew at that point that we could do something with this agency. There was no question. And, so yeah, we did with both feet.
So when you got started with the business, was there a period of time to where it felt like, gosh, I don't know if this is going to work, And then was there a pivotal moment where you realized it is going to work and it's going to explode? It's going to more than work.
Mhm. I was really lucky. So in my hometown, when I took my first job with Farm Bureau, right after I started as a commission-only agent, they took massive rate increases on home and auto. I mean, massive. And we were writing nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, okay, now what? So I went to all my competitors in a town of 5,000. I went to the next town over that was like 3,000. And I said, what do you not want to write? And they thought I was crazy. And I said, no, just what do you not want? And it was health insurance. And I said, I'll take it. And they're like, we're not going to do that. You'll write the home and auto. I said, just test the waters. And so loyalty, and they started referring. And so when I got to the town I'm in now, Cape Girardeau, I did the same thing. I didn't know anyone up here. I just literally just started calling on agents going, hey, do you want to do Medicare? I knew they didn't. And they're like, no. It's like, I'll do it. And so we kind of grew from there. I was very, very fortunate. Farm Bureau reached out to me and said, let's make a deal. If you don't take all the property and casualty and life business, you can have the health. I don't think they realized what that really meant. I don't think they realized in 90 days I would have agent of record almost every account on the books, but I did. And so very quickly I said, okay, we're fine. We're okay. When they made that offer, I agreed to it immediately, and that was that. And so everything fell into place. It really did.
I mean, because I can imagine that you had to have some sort of systems that you had to put in place early on to track and maintain. You had to have some tight workflows. What did you do to manage your growth?
Early on, it was mass chaos. It was write as many clients as you can write as fast as you can and keep going. That first year was wild. That second year was probably just as wild. And then we finally settled in a little bit. We started using the CRM we currently use, which is Agency Block. And that was a big help. And then we started working with what's called an upline for contracting on the Medicare side of Medicare. They may not understand this, but you just don't pick up the phone and call Mutual of Omaha and go, I want a direct contract. That's just not the way it works. And so we started working with a company out of Omaha, Nebraska by the name of Senior Market Sales. They provide a lot of technology. And so they have a sales platform that is amazing. And that changed the game. And then they integrated their sales platforms with other platforms, including Agency Block, and that's made a huge difference. Technology has been the win.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. You have to have good processes. Through my years of working with agencies around the country, we share what our successes are. We share what our failures are. We get together, we jump on Zoom meetings all the time. We talk about what's working. Just this morning, there was a group text going about, hey, this is working really well. This is working really well. We use a lot of videos now, or I do at least. So we have basically every tool that Zoom offers. It's our phones now. It's our chat. It is our, it's how we use their scheduler for appointments. And then they have something called clips where you can make a video. You can use it internally with the team, or I can send a video out to a client. I had a client reach out. She goes, hey, moms, this is changing and that's changing, and what do you think about this? And is, all these different questions. It was a lot. So instead of trying to reply to all that and hope she understood it, I just made her a video and walked through each question with her, sent it to her. I got an email yesterday and she goes, this is amazing. And so that's a thing. You have to utilize technology if you want to scale and scale fast and be successful once you scale. And, we're adding on an employee or two a year. We have to keep up with our service work. And we're not, we're not the mega agency. We're not. I hope we're never the mega agency. I'll be honest with you. I hope through technology and processes, we can not have 200 employees, but still grow because of the processes and the technology that we've implemented.
Yeah. So good. Tiffany and I have being able to, we talk to a lot of people who are busy, right? But not necessarily productive. So utilizing the tools to do those things that the tools can do, it doesn't diminish the business in any way. It just helps you to really be able to focus and prioritize. So,
Yeah. So I was at a conference and the guest speaker talked about how you can't run your company and be the lead salesperson. It is a recipe for failure. And that's where I was at that time. And we were starting, we were at that point where I'm like, I don't know what to do. I left that meeting and I said, okay, I know what to do. I still meet with clients. I enjoy meeting with clients, but I meet with a tenth of what I used to meet with. I used to meet with every new client, every single new client. It's impossible. With the volume we're writing, it would be physically impossible for one thing. And now my employees are making more money. I can focus on making their lives easier through technology, improving processes, meeting with other agency owners, and just sitting down and figuring out what are they doing that's successful and how can I implement that here? We did that, something very simple, and there's probably going to be people out there like I was doing this 10 years ago. But one of the things we added this year, when they submit that basic information through that jot form, it then takes them to the next jot form, which is a scope of appointment, which is something we need for a Medicare meeting. They fill that out. Once they submit the scope of appointment, then it takes them to our Zoom scheduler. They pick the state they're in. They pick if they want a video or phone call. And then they pick, is this going to be for one prospect or two? Once they answer those three questions, a calendar pops up with every agent that can fit that need, and they just pick a time they like and they book their appointment. That has saved us so much time, and it was very easy to build. I have people that help me with things like this. I'm very fortunate. I grew up with things like that, but that is not my background. And because I was always the lead salesperson, I didn't take time to learn that. So I'm very, very fortunate there that I have people to help me with that. So I had somebody show me how to start the Zoom scheduler, and then I built everything out from there. And then the person that helps me with the jot forms, it's amazing. I have them like that. And so with each jot form, I've thought of things, all right, well, gosh, what if we did this? And so we just keep adding to it. And now we're to the point where it's really a one-step process. And then through Senior Market Sales system that they own, they created and owned, it's called Lead Advantage Pro. It's their sales platform. We can send a client self-service link out. And so when we get that first jot form, it has just enough basic information for us to build their very basic profile in Lead Advantage Pro. We then email them their link to their profile. They put in their doctors, they put in their medications, they put in their pharmacy, and they finish filling everything out. By this time next year, we'll actually probably have a one email, click here, and they're doing from A to Z.
Gosh, just that one example, I can imagine not only it potentially taking one new client, maybe even weeks for them to get that information back to you via however, and also the person on the phone trying to grab that information from them. That's incredible. I love
With
that.
the volume of referrals we get, doing it manually, it was a 2-person full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot.
We've now gone to one person is going to just handle it all, no problem.
Yeah.
Maybe just any advice that you would have giving people who are coming into this agency or people who are looking to scale their business to the next level?
So whether you're new or you've been doing this for a decade, if you're not doing these things, start. First off, find a center of influence in your industry. You don't have to show them everything, but this industry, one of you said earlier, there's plenty of business. I don't worry about one client, right? I can't do it. So I don't worry about, hey, did you hear, that new farmer's agent selling Medicare around the corner? No, they're going to get a couple. That's fine. We can barely handle what we're getting now. So it's like, okay, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So I think you need to find that sounding board that you can bounce ideas off of. Loyalty is important. So you have to hope they're going to be loyal and you have to be loyal, right? The other thing is, if you are a property and casualty agent, reach out to people in the insurance industry that don't sell property and casualty and say, hey, where do you send people when they need a quote on their home, their auto, their business, whatever it is that you do, right? Find people that are working with the same clients for different products and partner with them, and remember loyalty. Okay. Then from there, find someone that can help your referrals or your clients with things you don't want to do. That's where we have fit into this. I met with a few people over the years and they're like, why would I refer to you? And I'm like, do you do this? No, but why would I refer to you? You refer them to me, we're going to just write what you don't want. If you don't help these people find that person, they're going to find them on their own. And maybe that person does what you do as well. Now you've lost the whole client.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? The question is, why wouldn't I refer them?
Yeah.
There's no reason not to, because we have loyalty. So I think that's what I would tell people is find someone I have partners. One of my partners, when we became partners, he'd been in this industry a long time. His company's much larger than mine. And he said, I'm so happy to have someone that I can bounce ideas off of now. And that was eye-opening because I've always had those people. They were my competitors, but I've always had those people and he did not. And so that's one thing I will say for sure is find your people.
That's great.
Such wise advice. So, Charley, where can we find more about you and your company and learn more from you?
TIG_Medicare on TikTok. If you go to our website, you can link over to all of our social media platforms. You can pull up our Google reviews, Better Business Bureau reviews. You can pull up Facebook reviews. You can see it all. And it's TIG-INS.com. And TIG is Thomas Insurance Group. If you go to our website, there's a tab up in the top right-hand corner, and it shows you all the places that your clients, you personally, can save money on your drugs. Anything from costplusdrugs.com to GoodRx to a place where you can get Eliquis and things like that at a cheaper price. We have a travel insurance company we work with. They can insure anything from your basic Geo Blue to ransom insurance, to trip insurance, to emergency evacuation. We work with a company that helps people with issues with Social Security. They'll help you appeal your IRMA, which that's if you're a high income and you go on Medicare, you pay more. And so they can help with that. Late enrollment penalties. So we try to find people that can help our clients. If you're helping your client, good enough. But our website really, we try to make it useful. There's the usual, hey, do you have a cancer policy? Here's what a cancer policy does. But we really try to put useful content on there. We have a video about HSAs. That's really important. Being on Medicare, contributing to an HSA, how all that works. And we've partnered with someone that has an educational channel on YouTube, and they don't sell anything. They make educational videos. And so we have that. They also created a video on how to review your Medicare drug plan on Medicare.gov and things like that. And again, I don't care who uses it. In my opinion, if a competitor of mine uses that video to help one of their clients, okay, somebody got help. That's fine. It's okay. Again, we're doing what we do.
Thank you for spending time with me today on Small Strides, Big Business. I hope this conversation gave you some clarity, confidence, or one new idea to move your agency forward. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow or subscribe and share it with another agent who could benefit. I'm Krystal Small, and remember, every small stride you take today builds the foundation for long-term confidence, stability, and growth in your business.